Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to preview Polaris 27, the welterweight GP with some phenomenal names in it. We are also going to preview the 2024 IBJJF Pans and talk about a few other matchups that have been announced. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined with co-host
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Happy to be here. We had the date wrong on the pre-show before Polaris, since we were previewing IBJJF, talking about it, and then we realized, wait, Polaris is this week.
Yeah.
There's some really good matchups on that card, and so we got everything together, and I am ecstatic to talk about what Polaris has. The brackets that Polaris has been putting together recently have been, consistently top of the year.
Oh, yeah,
I think
definitely.
they had two events last year, both the men's GP and the women's GP, that were on our top 10 of the year for events. Like, both of those events were phenomenal. The quality and the action at Polaris has been phenomenal, and so I cannot wait.
And it's on Fight Pass, which
the interface is so good.
Yeah.
So
it makes it a fun event to watch.
yeah, and you can tab back, you can tab forward. It doesn't load all wonky.
And you don't have to worry
great.
about that if you start watching it on your phone, you can't watch it on anything else.
Yeah.
Assistance and all that kind of stuff.
So very happy Polaris is not back on. It's still on Fight Pass. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. That's why we got our green on. If you watch the video show, you can see that. If you're audio, still happy to have you here. Let's get into it. So we have a little bit of news, Miranda. We have some matchups that you found for us that got announced, and I am amped for. We got ONE FC matchups.
Yeah, ONE FC, we have Cade Rutolo versus Francisco Lowe on March 5th.
That should be really
not March, April 5th. My bad.
So next month, about 3 weeks from now, which is really coming up, especially considering Cade is doing IBJJF Pans in the gi.
Lowe is too.
They both, yeah.
You're like they're both in different weight classes because Lowe is smaller, right?
I always want to have Lowe be smaller, and I'm always wrong about that.
I don't think he is, because when I think about it, he does absolute sometimes.
Yeah.
And so he's, I think
but he also went against Taza before, and so he's another guy that kind of will bounce. He's a guy that's always 15 pounds bigger than I think he usually is. He's a guy that I haven't just pinned his weight class down yet, because he's a guy frequently in absolute, frequently doing well in absolute, but also versus some of the big guys will sometimes get kind of like slowed down and pushed in absolute. So that'll be a really fun matchup. I can't wait to preview that.
Yeah, and that used to be Cade versus Isaac Michelle.
Ty was supposed to go versus Isaac Michelle.
Was it Ty or was
it
it
was
Cade?
Ty. It was
I
Ty.
thought it was Cade. Okay.
Ain't no way Isaac making 170.
Oh, well, I didn't think about it. I didn't.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway,
that will be
maybe they're
up.
both on it,
Maybe.
because that completely changes the world.
Yeah, because ONE FC's been moving everything around recently.
And and things are disappearing and then they're showing up But anyway,
their schedule has been a little odd recently. I think we had one other matchup get announced that we wanted to talk about.
No, well, we had Micah Galval put up something that
teaser.
put up a teaser that said he's doing Who's Number One soon, but he didn't say who his opponent was.
He said it is an IBJJF world champion, but he didn't state gi or no gi.
Yeah.
And those are two very different things. Like, that turns from being, if it's a gi guy and doing no gi, like, it's one of a couple people. If it's no gi, it's a lot of people. Like, that could be 40 people. It theoretically could be a top contender in IBJJF.
So back real quick. So it is going to be Ty versus Isaac Michelle and Cade versus Lowe.
I love seeing both of them on the same card.
Yeah.
Like, I wish, again, I understand the cornering situation, but I do love when both brothers are on the same
They
card.
both corner each other.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic, and I like seeing them in ONE FC. I think Lowe will really bring a level of firepower and just willingness to kind of throw it all to the wind. It'll really, again, let Cade open up his game and force Cade into potentially some wild scrambles and situations. So that's a very well matched bout between both of those, and it should be a ton of fun. I can't wait to kind of dig into their no-gi games a little more closely when we preview it, but that got announced. I'm amped for that. We'll also get a chance to preview Ty versus Isaac, which looks like it's back on the books after getting bumped a couple of weeks ago, so that's good. Mika Galval is going against a world champion in IBJJF in May for Who's Number One.
Yep.
That will be fun when we find out who that is, but regardless.
And Lang Anchor put up that he's going against someone soon. But he didn't. That's all he said. He didn't even say what promotion.
And we think it's Who's Number One as well, but again, he didn't say what promotion it was. Just from the comments, there's some folks that are typically flow folks that kind of made some comments in the book, in the section.
Yeah.
So,
but we always like seeing Tommy wherever he's at. So
yeah, dude, Tommy's always a treat to watch compete. So I think that's all the news we have. We've really just been running up into IBJJF Pans. You were at a tournament all weekend coaching. Yeah. It is Sunday night now. We're about to go to open mat.
It is. It was Naga weekend.
Yep, Naga in Baltimore. I just got back from business travel for a week of accelerated business travel. Got a chance to train with some folks down there. We'll talk about that in the outro.
Yeah.
The community is super friendly. It is always awesome to train and travel.
I met a bunch of people, and I was trained in Ohio because I was also away for a short period.
The community is phenomenal. Again, I walked into one of the friendliest gyms I've ever been to. Got a chance to train there for 3 days this week, and it was phenomenal. So let's move into it. You want to move into Polaris?
Sure.
All right, Polaris 27 GP. Miranda, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the welterweight GP for the men? Do you want to start with the title fights? Do you want to start with Keith match? Like, where do you want to kick it off here?
Let's start super fights.
Okay. We got super fights lined up here.
So we got
I don't have them in front of me.
Ffion Davies versus Brianna Ste-Marie for the 55 kilogram title.
And Ffion has had that for a minute in Polaris.
Yeah.
I think she's had that since Polaris. Like, I think they have it in the article here. Like Polaris 10 or 11. We're on Polaris 27. Like Ffion has had that for a while.
And the event's in Wales, which is her home. So.
Oh, it is, isn't it? I didn't think about that.
Well, her homeland, not where she lives now, but her previous homeland,
native country of origin. Even though she's in.
And I was previously a little worried on how Ffion was doing, only because she had dropped out of something. I forget what it was. It was like who's number one, I think.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. Like if you're dropping out of shit, then it sounds like there's something going on. So hopefully,
but back here
it wasn't. Yeah.
So this is a rematch. This is a rematch of the Brianna Ste-Marie. Is it? So I'm gonna call her Brianna Ste-Marie. Is it Brianna Saint-Marie? Because it's the French pronunciation of her last name. Again, she's the ADCC silver medalist. At this point, you've done a seminar with her. My wife's done a seminar with her.
I know, but I don't remember.
We should know her how to pronounce this.
I don't remember how she said it, and I always assume it's Saint-Marie.
I always thought it was Saint-Marie.
Yeah.
But I think it's the French pronunciation of Saint-Marie. So Brianna Ste-Marie.
Yeah.
I'll just blur the words together.
Just say Brianna.
Brianna. So this is a rematch of the ADCC World Championship Finals at the under 60 kilogram division, which is a division that technically no longer exists in ADCC because now we have the 3 women's weight classes, which is great to see. Under 55, we have under 65 and over 65 now. So this is kind of a legacy weight class. They all kind of are now.
Yeah.
But Ffion pretty definitively beat Brianna in that matchup. I think like 10-0.
Yeah, on points.
It was a very great match.
Yeah.
Both women are at the top of the game. But it was relatively definitive.
Yeah.
And Ffion has looked bulletproof.
Yeah.
Since then, she's had she had a loss to Elizabeth Clay via footlock at one of the other Polarises.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, has looked.
But
phenomenal.
Since then, she hasn't really lost anything.
No.
Nothing that I can remember. Even IBJJF, she's won.
Mm-hmm. World titles, gi, no-gi, has looked
and really
untouchable.
Has never looked out of her driver's seat.
Never looked better as well. So Brianna Ste-Marie has looked phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
I unfortunately kind of think this goes the same way. I don't really want to pick against Ffion. I know Brianna has really been changing her game a little bit, but she still really prefers to play from her back, from the guard, and I think Ffion is going to really know exactly the tactics that Brianna wants to come in with and is going to prepare for that and force it into the same match. Again, these are 2 world champion level, world class competitors. Absolutely have the ability to change their game. We've seen that over the years to some extent. Yeah. We've really seen Ffion kind of open up her game and even get more aggressive on the submissions. But sometimes she can get a little gun shy, and I think potentially if she gets a little gun shy, Brianna Ste-Marie can start to bring the match into the guard and slow Ffion down and make some headway.
Isn't this sub only Polaris?
Sub only with decisions.
With decisions, yeah.
So with decisions,
so it changes the dynamic a little bit better or different than a point system.
Yeah, I think for the super fights they're still using the open round thing, where it's the length of the match broken up into thirds.
Yeah.
And then the winner of all 3 of those, they don't announce it like who's number 1 does, but it's basically on the judges' scorecards for those sections of the match, and then they give a decision based on that, which I think is a really great way to do it. I really I like a lot about the Polaris rule set and generally how they structure it. I think that Ffion will be able to late in the match get going like we saw her go kind of versus Jasmine Rocha and versus the first match with Brianna Ste-Marie.
Yeah.
I think if I recall that correctly, it was a late scoring match where Ffion sort of later in the match started to gain momentum and get her points off, if I recall correctly.
I don't remember.
We were Matt's side, but it's been a busy week.
It's been, not just a busy week. That was a whole weekend of chaos. Could you imagine watching that many matches in one day and then trying to remember everything?
We did, and then did podcasts. And then got in trouble because people were like, "You're talking over each other."
Well, we were also.
watching
I was
16 and 18
also
hours.
chugging margaritas as we were doing those podcasts.
There was that. The live
We were in
ADCC
Vegas.
shows. The live ADCC shows are always phenomenal, and I can't wait. We got the whole team going now this year, and I cannot wait for ADCC in Vegas. It would not surprise me to see both these ladies back in the World Championship finals. But again, ADCC can play. Can shake things up. So I think it goes back to Ffion.
I think it does too.
Especially with just we've not seen any changes to her game. She seems to be in a really good training situation with Gabriel Souza and JT Torres in that camp.
Yeah.
And she seems to be very happy. We're seeing a little bit more of her judo.
There was a couple videos that were coming out of her and Amanda Levy.
Yep.
Training.
Oh, I saw that. It was a couple months ago.
Yeah. No, recently.
Really?
Within the week of her going up. Because it's close enough. I mean, you think about it, Amanda Levy is local.
Amanda Levy, 2-time ADCC trials champion for ADCC.
She won East Coast.
Won the East Coast trials when I interviewed her and the audio was all messed up and I can't put it out, which I'm upset about that still.
But she went up to, she was going up to
Essential.
With
JT Torres and Fion's training spot now. So yeah, I'm excited because Amanda brings a really interesting, effective pressure style that I think, again, doesn't have a ton of parallels to Brianna Ste-Marie, but it's, again, another super high-level no-gi woman in that room. It's always great training.
Yes.
So I go to Ffion. I think you're going the same way. Wouldn't surprise me to see Brianna put an upset, but she's going to have to do it on points most likely unless she's able to triangle Ffion.
But there are no points.
Very good point, Miranda.
Positional work.
She can do positional work. Potentially, there's an option for a triangle there. Because Brianna has a good triangle game. But I think Davies will be hip to that.
Yeah.
And at home, comfortable. It also plays a factor too.
Yeah.
So, next matchup on the card, we have
Keith Krikorian and his new opponent. It's going to be Cam Donnelly.
Yeah, I don't know as much about Donnelly.
He's a local European gentleman. I believe. We've
talked about him before on the show.
He didn't win trials, but I believe he...
Did he place?
I believe so.
Okay. High-level European guy. Keith, so this has been... Is this for the title? Do you know?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so this title was originally going to be between Keith Krikorian and Owen Jones.
No, it was originally going to be...
Gabriel Souza and Owen Jones.
Yes.
Then it moved to Keith Krikorian and Owen Jones, and now Owen is injured, so now it is Keith Krikorian versus Cameron Donnelly.
Yes.
So we've talked about this frequently. It's moved through, so this has been a very influx matchup.
So Cam Donnelly is a black belt that trains out of B Team. He's one of those...
Oh, this guy.
He's European.
This guy.
He's European, but he's B Team at the same time.
Yes, I recognize this guy. Okay. This should be a really, really fun matchup. Again, a guy on the rise. Cam is very good, plays a fun game. You're in the B Team room. Yeah. You know you're improving with guys like Carlston.
And I believe he placed. I don't remember how he placed, but I remember he might have been, but I remember he was up there because I remember watching his matches.
Talking about his matches on the show.
Yeah. So he had to been in
the mix of the finals or the semis for us to be able to get a chance to talk about him on the show.
Yeah, and he at brown belt last year he won No-Gi Worlds.
Yeah.
So he's
on the level for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
This would be nice to see more of his game here. Keith has been astonishingly active and looked, again, kind of like Ffion, really, really good. Aside from like a meh performance against Dorian Oliveras at trials, not Dorian Oliveras. Was it Oliveras that beat him, or was it Dominic Mejia that beat him?
Who?
Yeah, Keith at trials. Which one of those guys knocked him out? I forget.
I think Oliveras.
I think Oliveras too.
I think Oliveras.
Because I got a chance to interview Dominic Mejia, and I don't think that match came up
So he was the trial silver. Cammy was the silver medalist.
Okay,
for
a European.
sure.
That makes sense. So it was in the finals there versus Owen Jones.
Yeah, because it was he was the guy that we were like, who is this B team guy that we've never seen before?
Yeah. Okay. I remember this is coming together now slowly. Keith looks phenomenal. Yeah. What we saw in the last Polaris, or who's number one? We saw Dominic Mejia, silver medalist at the U.S. trials versus Owen Jones, and we saw Owen Jones absolutely take that match like relatively convincingly. And it kind of, we were on the show talking about, and a lot of the kind of narrative behind that was, well, the U.S. trials is a harder trials, there's more talent, and then we saw that.
And Owen Jones is a purple belt.
He's a brown belt now.
No, he's a brown belt now.
Brown belt now,
but like that, he's also newer. Like it's not like he's been around.
He's not a super known quantity, and
no, but like Keith has probably trained twice as long as he has.
Yeah, he's going to have a gulf of experience there. I just think it was really interesting when they were talking about, in the lead up to that match between Owen Jones and Dominic Mejia, of like, well, the European trials aren't as hard, there's not many people. And then we saw Owen Jones kind of disprove that by beating Mejia and going, okay, the European guys are absolutely on the level. We've seen great matches between Keith and Ash Williams to really show that, the Europeans are absolutely on the level. Cam Donnelly is European, but training in the U.S. with B team, which is that gym is putting out phenomenal competitors.
Owen Jones had went down to B team too because he was there training with them before that Who's Number One fight because Mejia is New Wave. Yep. So it was just how
it was
that kind of works.
Across the street matchup. I'm going Keith here. Just honestly, it's less of a technical pick, but more of just my familiarity with his game.
And if you watch his last few matches, like he has definitely been in the driver's seat. He doesn't make the mistakes he's made before, and he turns it on and goes. And his performance has been getting better and better.
We're almost seeing a little bit more of that vintage Krikorian when he was like a purple belt, brown belt. We were talking about him and to him, where he was really he would go for the finish much more frequently and like really not get out of position, but he seems way more comfortable in his ability to get back, and he has a lot more tools to get him back into a matchup. If he goes for something and is unable to get it, he can really continue to fire that stuff off in a way that we saw him when he won trials. He pulled that back a little bit, and he's really found a middle ground speed between, it seems, consistently fighting for the finish, but also being able to get himself back positionally to kind of where he should be in the wrestling and in the the guard work or the passing. Yeah, I'm.
And he's been training with in Ireland with Tom Halpin.
Yeah,
the entire time.
And Halpin's very good.
Yeah, so he's been getting a good look at what he has. I'm sure they have. It's not exactly the same match, so he has to kind of handle the new opponent differently than he would Owen Jones. Yeah. But I'm sure there's enough people around that, and Keith is very good at watching film and knowing how people, move.
You have his Patreon, and he talks about that.
Oh yeah,
frequently.
And he definitely talks about. He watches his own stuff and other people's stuff, and can kind of figure all that out. So I think Keith will definitely have a way to beat Donnelly,
unless it's a shake-up performance, which again it's one of the reasons I really like Polaris is sometimes we see a shake-up and it'll be good. But I think Keith is the money pick for this one. Any other super fights you want to talk about that we got, or do you want to run right into welterweight bracket? This is such a good GP.
$20,000 to win,
which is great too. Which is again, and it's also I love that it's not an absolute GP. I love the absolute GPs. The men's and women's absolute GP last year for Polaris was again two of the best tournaments we saw that year, if not like. Those both think are contender for number one tournament. Aside from it wasn't an ADCC year, so like potentially best tournaments of the year. Yeah. I love that it's not an absolute tournament. I love that it's a welterweight because there's so much talent at welter right now. 170. We have in this tournament we have Espen Mathiesen, Levi Jones-Leary, who we just saw on ADXC. We have Max Hanson, who we saw in Who's Number One, and then we saw him win a late replacement at Enigma. Yeah. Like beat a bunch of guys that we weren't sure if he could beat, and then he pleaded to Flo, like, hey, put me back on. This is what I can do. I can go beat guys that are bigger. It was a 185-pound tournament that he smoked everyone through. Again, the darkest of dark horses here. We have Jozef Chen, current trials winner for the Asian and Oceanic trials. Luiz Paulo, who is the qualifier for Polaris. And we just talked about Mathiesen. Mathiesen.
You're backwards. Luiz Paulo won European trials, and Harrison Woods won the tournament.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I flipped.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was talking about the Harrison Woods is also in this.
Yeah.
And I've been really hot on the Polaris Qualifier series because we had Marcin Machulowicz, who won Polaris, was in the IBJJF, was in the Polaris Absolute GP, and then, he had, I think, kind in the first round or something, where he wasn't able to get far, but then goes on to win European trials for ADCC, and you go, oh yeah, this is a guy on the level, and we talk about how important pro level qualifiers are to get people their exposure to this level, and how usually a year or two later after they win that, we see big things from them. Like Keith has one of those wins for a big qualifying event. Pedro Mourinho got his big start as a qualifying win. Junior Casio got his big start on a Kasai qualifying win. These qualifying tournaments are really good, and you don't want to count these guys out because they are absolutely on the level to win their slots into these big tournaments.
Yeah, and Luiz Paulo was a South American ADCC champion or trials champion.
Yeah,
for the first trials.
Yeah, those two trials really blend together for me. Yeah. We also have Davis Asare. Yeah, Norwegian at a B team. He's the guy that...
Is he Norwegian?
He's Norwegian.
I always forget that he's Norwegian.
Yes.
I don't know why, because Espen is...
Yeah.
No, Espen's from Norway. Yeah.
Yeah, Norwegian.
Yeah, Norwegian.
Yeah. So it was funny. I realized in the Tommy Langacker versus Davis Asare match that was 77 kilogram trials final for ADCC. There was a Norway chant, and then I thought it was for Tommy. I was like, oh right, Davis is also Norwegian. This is a Norwegian finals.
Yeah.
That's wild to have a European trial, have a Norwegian finals there. That's cool. I think we've had that before with Espen and Tommy. Yeah. Maybe, because I know Tommy's won before.
Ispen normally is a gi guy. Yeah. I think very seldom. I think he'll
pop into no-gi, just like Rudzinski's a no-gi guy.
But I think isn't he newer to popping into no-gi, or am I wrong with that?
I think he's done it throughout his career, because I think we've seen him in trials before.
Okay.
But he's like Wardzinski, where primarily a gi guy, but can absolutely give you the smoke in no-gi too. Yeah. So we see Langacker more do both, but even Langacker for years was mostly a gi guy that popped into no-gi, and recently most of his super fights have been in no-gi, because I think that's where he's finally making his money, which I love to see. We don't have a bracket right now for the Polaris welterweight GP. So, that being said, do you have a pick? Oh, also, PJ Barch is in this bracket. I think probably the number one seed, depending on who shows up on the day.
I would say, PJ is kind of the number one seed, because you have Espen and Levi, who are primarily gi guys, that sometimes when they go into no gi, they don't have some of the same tricks that they have when they play the gi, because they're both bolo guys. Yeah. And it's a lot harder to bolo in no-gi.
They can do it. We've seen them do it.
Oh, yeah, and they do it. But
at this level, it's guys are also crafty, and you need a little more at this level. Who did we just see Levi against in ADXC? Was it Jontas Gracie?
Yes.
Okay.
No, yes.
No, I don't think that's right. But we just recently saw him after a bit of a hiatus from
Well, he moved.
Matches.
He moved back to Australia.
Yeah,
and so I think he was doing Australian events. And now you were right, Jontas Gracie.
It was Jontas Gracie. I think Gracie beat him in that matchup.
Yeah,
but still, super experienced guy.
I think we have Jozef Chen and PJ Barch. I hope the two of them are on different sides of the bracket, because I would like to see them go against each other. And
a lot of trials winners here.
I hate going against PJ, but with the way the luck goes for PJ, it's going to be a Jozef Chen.
Dude has the worst luck. Because
dude just has some rough luck. I think when I get matches, I have horrible luck, because I'm like, where can Miranda be in the bracket? Oh, I'm against the number one seed that, has been the champion for 5 million years, that, is just going to, go through me. And I feel like PJ does that, or he gets these crazy injuries that you could never figure out how to like the whole
getting knocked out. Yeah. Flash knocked out by Mika. And then also in trials a couple years back, blew his knee. Yeah. And then we didn't see him for 2 years.
And it's That's the only.
You have PTSD picking PJ Barch. It's like he can do it. He can win any tournament in the world.
Yeah.
But like he just gets unlucky. Almost every tournament, he just gets unlucky. Like he beats JT Torres ADCC and then gets Cade.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not. It almost beats Cade.
Yeah. His luck, man. His luck is rough.
So you're going Jozef Chen to take the whole thing.
What?
I said you're going Jozef Chen to take the whole thing.
Yeah, because Jozef Chen, I mean, is a monster.
Yeah. He's also super. Every conversation, not every conversation I've had with him, but every conversation I've heard people ever talk about Jozef Chen or talking about training with Jozef Chen, they're like, he has such a wild approach to training and the way that he's able to like take knowledge and take information and apply it. And Owen Jones has a little bit of the same thing too in conversations I've heard people talking about Owen Jones, but Chen has a really unique, interesting approach that allows him to just sort of like level up quickly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of us that understand jiu-jitsu really well, but then for us to actually apply it and work it is a whole nother world. And then there's the opposite. There's the gentlemen that don't really get it, but like they have an amazing comp game, but like they don't. If you ask them prime example,
J-Rod Rodriguez.
They asked him who like Marcelo was, and
I think he knew Marcelo, but it was like
he didn't know anybody else.
Yeah, it was like he didn't know the Mendez brothers.
Yeah,
like that. It was stuff
like
that.
So like, and then you have those that they're really good at their game, or like if you implement something into their game, they're really good at doing that.
Yeah.
But they don't have that like wealth of jiu-jitsu.
They're not really students of.
Seldom do you get the combo where you have someone who's really good at studying.
And Chen is that great interface between those two guys, where it's like he has all the historical knowledge, he can see it, he knows what to do, and then he can make it actionable on the mats in a competition setting, and that's a really dangerous combination.
Yeah, I go Jozef Chen all the way.
So my question is more so, how is this going to get bracketed?
Yeah,
is my question. Like Harrison Woods is your qualifier, is your 8th seed because he's the qualifier, and that's usually where they put them. You have Luiz Paulo, who is an ADCC Trials champion in South America. Jozef Chen, European Trials champion. You have Levi Jones-Leary, former Australian Trials champion. Espen Mathiesen, I don't think has ever won a Trials, but I think he has placed. PJ Barch, Trials champion, and again, should be medalist essentially at ADCC. Max Hanson, what we saw, the Thanos of the regional promotion belts, like has every single regional promotion belt from 55 to 85 essentially nowadays.
But then we saw him lose against
what was his name?
The dude from Standard, DeAndre Corbe.
Yeah,
recently at Septero.
Well, he just beat both of them at the last one of them, I think.
No, Corbe beat Hanson.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, at the new qualifier for the $100,000.
Oh, that was like last weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Max Hanson lost to
that.
DeAndre Corbe in finals.
Okay. Oh, that's good information. I had
Yeah.
missed that event, actually.
Well, because I don't think it was an easy event to find. I think it was expensive for pay-per-view, and I just saw it because
You find things.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. And somehow all this information gets stored in my head, and then I just spit it out sometimes.
That's why I can't learn French. So I think this really comes down to a huge piece is bracket. And so Barch is also a trials.
Yeah.
So really it comes down to where do these guys fall in the bracket? Like, is Barch going to run into Davis Asare as the first round matchup and like have that be a weird matchup where Arce is not experienced, but he's still very, very good. He's been at New Wave. Does he run into Jozef Chen?
For really weirdly, I heard an interview where they were asking PJ Barch about Espen, which made me think that they already knew who was going against who. Maybe they were just going through the list, and that's who they asked him about.
And that happened to be like the blip that you saw.
Yeah, it was just weird because now that I think about it.
I think that's probably a reasonable place. I think Barch will probably draw Espen or Harrison Woods in the first matchup. That would make sense based on like the no-gi accolades of both guys.
Yeah.
That would kind of make sense for where they sit if Barch is the number one slot, which I think is probably, given his ADCC experience, probably would be the right pick.
Yeah, because like Polaris put up, what do you think who would win the matchup of PJ Barch versus Espen?
Yeah, so that leads us to believe that's probably
but
on the same side of the bracket, probably a first round matchup.
Yeah. But I never saw anybody else have matchups like that, so I don't know. maybe not.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. Again, and does Polaris lean a little more European for the matchmaking? You typically not, but sometimes we'll see like, maybe it might be a European matchup that the Europeans want to see.
Yeah.
And Polaris is good about producing both really well-matched matchups for their bracketing, but also they'll put an interesting bracket together. Polaris is rarely a bracket where I go, I'm not sure it should be bracketed like that. They usually do a very, very good job and consider a bunch of factors that sometimes we even miss on the show for athlete matchmaking. So,
and it looks like Brianna Ste-Marie has been training at AOJ with Margot
Cicerelli.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a spicy combo.
So
I'm still going to go Ffion, but now that's a scary combination if she's with Margot, again, who also just won the Asian trials.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I want to pick Jozef Chen. I like Jozef Chen. I like his game. I think he will be a little undersized versus a guy like Levi Jones-Leary. I think Levi Jones-Leary is a little bigger, but again, they're all cutting to 170.
Yeah.
And I think most of these guys are going to have to make a pretty like not a hard cut, but a decent cut down to get to 170.
Yeah.
You know, most of these guys do trials at 77 kilos, which is 169, so they can make it.
Yeah.
But usually you're doing trials at a weight class that is a little bit annoying to get to, so that you can have the biggest advantage for size.
And it's day before weigh-in, so...
Okay, so they have time to make the cut. Again, none
of
these guys
not for... I don't know if Polaris does
for
before,
ADCC,
it's day before.
Which I'm really happy they made that change for trials. And I like Mo's thought process for making that change is like, look, I want the highest quality out of the athlete's day of. And so if guys are going to cut anyway, like he goes, it's not...
And it's not...
Guys aren't changing their weight class.
Polaris isn't the one where they put everybody's name in a hat, right? And they pick it out of the hat. That's like one of the promotions. But I forget which
who does
promotion
that?
But it's. I don't think it's Polaris.
I think BJJ Stars or Bet did that.
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just remember it was wild because they just put everybody's name in a hat, and it was like
Spider.
And like everybody weighed in, and then after they weighed in, they just pulled names out, and I was like, I kind of like that because it means that you kind of don't know who the fuck you're.
But then you get your number 1 and 2 seed first round. You're like, I want to kind of squeeze out the bracket.
Yeah, true.
So who did that? I forget who did that.
It was. I don't know.
Spider had a really interesting way they did it. I think you got to pick, if you were top 3 siege, you got to pick who you wanted. I like that because some video game tournaments do that. I think it's always a wild pick. Sometimes you get a guy that gets to pick, and he'll pick number 1 seed, and you're like, that's crazy that you chose the hardest matchup first. Like, wow, if I can get through him, I win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I want to go Chen. I want to go Chen here.
Yeah.
I want to do exactly what you're doing and pick Jozef Chen. I think it is a astonishingly hard matchup. I think... Chen has a shot at it. PJ has a shot at it. I think Hanson has a shot at it. I think Arce has a shot at it too. But I think we saw in the Tommy Lineker match at trials that Arce sometimes can make at the super high levels when the chips are all done, can make little mistakes here and there. And I don't think we're really going to see that from Chen or PJ in the same way. And I think Polaris is a high enough level tournament that we're going to see those little things matter. Again, he's at New Wave. And that's something we see occasionally from the new wave guys, but it really gets streamlined out usually. But we still see it occasionally from Big Dan. We see it occasionally from Oliver Taza. We see it occasionally from Davis Asare. Some of those guys at that gym can make little small tactical or like strategic errors in matches. And I think that will matter here. But Arce has been getting better very, very quickly, and so it also wouldn't surprise me to have him tighten that up.
Jozef Chen's going to have, who's the...
Dima.
Yeah, Dima, the lederhosen guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know Dima's amazing.
Dude, I don't know much about Dima. I had a very brief interaction. I got a chance to talk to him very briefly at the U.S. trials.
He's kind of a like a man of mystery. Yeah. Like, I tried to like figure out information about him. Yeah, I can't find shit.
He's a German coach out of, not Dusseldorf, but... Rottenburg, maybe, I think. I forget exactly where he's from, but like he is in a bunch of winners' corners frequently, and apparently he is an amazing game planner.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I want to get another chance to talk to because so many guys sing the praise about how good of a game planner he is, and he's a quiet guy that we haven't really seen until like a year ago.
The only reason we picked up his accent, because you found the accent and you were like, who's that German accent?
He's got a very interesting accent. So, super curious for this tournament. I think a huge piece will come down to bracketing, but I would guess that Chen, PJ, and Davis, and probably Arce are the quads.
Yeah.
And so that will put Espen and Levi and Harrison Wood and Hanson on the as the matchups for those, and it will really depend on what side.
Hanson could...
play spoiler to anyone.
Yeah, he could knock out.
So we've seen him have astonishingly dominant performances versus really good guys.
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity for him to break out, which any tournament we see Hanson in, it will never surprise me to see him just take the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think sooner rather than later, he's going to win one of these major tournaments. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Like the J-Mook problem. So, anything else on that, Miranda?
No. And I was just making sure that we're not missing any, like, super fights that are
other big super fights. The rest of the card is good, too. Usually,
Yeah.
again, Polaris does a great job of highlighting European talent. Plenty of folks we see on the Polaris undercards in a couple years, you know, strong in the main card because they've made their name. And I love to see it. I love the ability for them to showcase the European talent and also bring in all these people for these top level tournaments. So, moving on. That's all for Polaris. I am excited that it is next week. We also have the IBJJF Pans that are happening. We are going to start. Where are we going to start with this one? Men's, women's, rooster, or heavy?
Men's, rooster.
So men's rooster weight. We have the top slot here. We have Taliesin Suarez with the number 1 seed. It is a division of 13, so a relatively decent-sized men's rooster weight division, typically the smallest division for the men.
That's a big rooster weight division. Very seldom do you see 13 men in a rooster. Even in, like, Worlds, you don't see 13 roosters normally.
I think a lot of guys, most of the guys have the points. I don't know how many points you need anymore for Worlds. Do you know? As
no,
black belt?
But I know you have to have a specific amount before you get in.
You have to have some points. So we're seeing, again, as people run up, like what Cade was talking about, getting the points he needs in order to qualify. Taliesin Suarez is, I think, above and far away the favorite here. He's the 2022 world champion. Just as for some context here, he has 466 points. And for IBJJF, you get points, basically your frequency of competing and placing at various levels of events. The big majors are worth like 5x multipliers. The smaller ones are worth 3x multipliers. Some of them are worth 2x or 1x for points. But
so Pans is a requirement of 30 points.
Yeah.
To compete.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Some folks here have less, are listed as less than 30 points, but there's other ways and there's other like reasons you're in Pans as well. Taliesin Suarez has 466 points. The second closest person in his division has 165 points, and that is Samuel Marquez.
Yeah.
So, again, 300 more points, and you're a former world champion.
The other thing that you kind of have to think about this sometimes is, let's say you do a bunch of opens and there's no other male black rooster weights, you get the points for not even competing.
Yeah.
So if you really just want to crank points, some people have ridiculous, like, not saying Taliesin Suarez.
Yeah, this
we know
not
he
their
wins.
example.
We know he wins all the time.
But we do see it sometimes, especially in some of the women's divisions.
Yeah.
We see people that are maybe not the strongest competitors. Yeah. I'm like, why do you have so many points? Oh, you've just kind of been traveling to uncontested opens or opens with one other person and then doing the absolute.
And you can kind of crank points.
You see it a little less at black belt.
Yeah.
But you do see it, specifically it's a thing that happens at purple and brown.
Yeah.
That you see less so nowadays because there's more competitors there. But a couple of years ago, it was something we saw.
I thought about doing it at Master 3 because there's like no Master 3 Browns, and I was like, I wonder if I could
points I could get.
Yeah, because there's like none.
Why are you taking 8 flights this month? No reason.
Just picking up some medals.
So I think this is Taliesin Suarez. We also have Hardy Barbosa. We have Tiana Danforth in this division. Was this the division that we had?
Everton
Teixeira's in here.
Teixeira.
Rodrigo Lima is in here as well, and as your second seed.
Yeah.
One of these divisions has like a quarter of the division is from Maryland, which is really funny.
That's light feather.
Is light feather?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this one, our second round match, if Everton Teixeira wins his first match, we get Taliesin Suarez versus Everton Teixeira.
Yeah.
And I think that will be one of the best. That should be closer to your finals match. But
that's bracketed in a funny way because Everton Teixeira is number 8 and Taliesin Suarez is number 1 from AOJ. I would like to see that other side.
I think because Everton Teixeira is a newer black belt.
Yeah. So he's the guy from Qatar BJJ that we saw on
him on Fight to Win, and then we saw him at, I want to see like Europeans maybe. We've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and we were like, who is this guy? And Qatar,
he's real good.
How do you get Yeah. But Qatar is also one of those countries that, like, if you
big jiu-jitsu countries coming up,
and they support you. They support their people. So I'm sure he.
So that would be a fun matchup. That is a quarterfinals matchup. That's
Yeah.
not even semis or finals, but that should be fun. No swaps for rankings for this one. Moving on to the light featherweight division.
This is the quarter Baltimore.
This is the
quarter
Maryland folks.
Quarter Maryland folks.
Which is really funny. Division of 16 people, and 4 of the people in this division are out of gyms out of Maryland. The Grappling Miranda is based out of Maryland, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And so we are very familiar kind of locally with a lot of these folks.
Yeah.
Because you just watch them come up through blue belt
Yeah.
all the way to the black belt level. Or you
train
train with him, or you compete against them. And we're in my weight class, so like you've run against a couple of them before. I think I've run against 3 of these guys when we were blue belts and purple belts. We have Diego Pato Oliveira is your 2021 and 2023 world champion. He is the number 1 seed, followed closely by Malachi Edmond from TLI.
Yeah.
He is your number 2 seed. He is your silver medalist at last year's Worlds. That is the matchup I think we are going to see in the finals. And I am sure as hell not picking Pato versus anyone.
No, I'm
like
yeah.
your current world champion. He just beat Dante Leon a weight class up by submission. Like again in nogi, and Pato is a stronger nogi player, but still in the gi, 2-time world champion.
Pull the screen down 1 second. I just want to see who's where. Okay, so we're gonna have Pato on that side.
Yeah.
So even if like any of the other ones get there, it's gonna be Pato on that side.
Pato is probably Pato is clearly
no offense to any gentleman on that side.
It's Pato. He's 2-time world. You have a 2-time world champion, or 2-time current. You're defending world champion on your side of the bracket.
I bet you it becomes Pato versus Malachi.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Malachi I feel bad for because he's like he's the gentleman that always gets number 2.
The B team. He's the B team guy,
Yeah,
essentially. I mean, he's TLI, but he's frequently a great second place medalist.
Yeah.
But just making that finals match sometimes happen. He's got great tactics, and it's been really interesting to watch how he plays the game. And I think the guys at TLI are really great tacticians for how to be, like very much the Atos parallel on the East Coast here of like how they decide to play the game. Very few tactical or strategic mistakes, coupled with almost no technical mistakes. It makes it for really interesting guys to get past.
And you have to literally break them or put them out.
Oh yeah. Hard to put away.
Like they are not tapping.
Hard folks to put away.
A lot of shit.
We have on that side of the bracket, same side with Malachi, and the opposite side we have Tomoyuki Hashimoto, who's a guy.
You have the Zachary, the Kayana guy.
Kayina's in here.
Yeah.
Ooh. So second round matchup, we have Zachary Kayina versus Malachi Edmond.
If they both win.
Again, nothing against their first round opponents. It's just, dude, Kayina and Malachi is actually a really, really interesting matchup because think about it. Kayina just went against Shane DeMere Taylor.
Yeah.
Which is also TLI, which is Malachi's like little older training partner, former 2018 world champion.
Yeah.
And so Kayina beat Shane DeMere Taylor on a razor thin advantage at the end of that match. So really curious with this bracketing. I think TLI will have a really great game plan for Malachi coming into this.
Yeah.
But Kayina is astonishingly hard to beat.
Yeah.
And we showed that, versus Shane a couple of weeks ago. And so that's a matchup that potentially Kayina could take that.
Yeah.
So potentially we might end up with Tomoyuki Hashimoto versus Zachary Kayina or against Malachi Edmond. And then the winner of, I think, whoever wins that is going to get beat by Pato.
Yeah.
It's really like the right side of the bracket is who's going to fight Diego Oliveira. Diego Batista Oliveira. Pato. So should be fun.
Yeah.
But again, most likely it's very much Pato's to lose. I don't think he will. Moving on to the men's featherweight division.
And this one's quite large.
This one's large. Division of 29. Had to scroll there through it. We have Isaac Dodelin and Fabricio Andre in your top 2 slots. Isaac Dodelin is your 2022 world champion. We have Fabricio Andre as your 2021 world champion. Diego Pato is a division down in light feather. He is the 2023 world champion that these folks are usually against. We looked it up, Miranda, you looked it up before the show. Fabricio Andre and Isaac Dodelin's most recent match was, 2023 at the Crown.
The Crown, yes.
Right, which is IBJJF's kind of GP premier event. It's not their GP.
Yeah. And
it's the other one.
Dodelin won by ref's decision.
Yeah. Close match. Fun match.
Yeah.
Fabricio Andre, since leaving, has looked phenomenal. Oh, we also have Kennedy Massey on this division. We have Daniel Myra in this division.
Yeah, it's a...
Oh, this is a giant division. Holy crap. This one's super hard to pick. Again,
There's also 2 brackets, so like
Yeah, it's one of those giant two-bracket matchups.
It's a giant one.
I wish IBJJF would just figure out how to make it one giant bracket instead of having every 16 names make it a separate bracket. Like, no one does it like that. Please just do it the regular way.
Yeah, but
give me one big-ass bracket.
Part of it is so they can be on 2 different mats at the same time and run them that way, I think.
I get it, but
yeah.
I just it makes it really hard to see when you're running a preview show like the Grappling Rewind and I have to look at it. Isaac Doderlin gets a bye all the way into his round of 16? 1, 2, and then 3. So all the way almost into the quarters.
Yeah.
Which is, again, your world champion. That is, if you're going to give a guy a bye, that's deserved. Fabricio Andre has the same bye that far into the bracket.
Yeah.
We also have Diego Sodre also has a bye that far into the bracket. Those are the only people with double buys, technically single buys into that round, but that's all very, very deserved for those folks. I think that Kennedy kind of plays spoiler here. I think we either...
Where's Kennedy at? Find Kennedy on the bracket.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to stall here for time.
There he is. I found him.
Where is he at?
Third down on the left.
On the left? Okay, there he is. So Kennedy is on his own bracket. He's in the Doderlin bracket.
Yeah.
So there's 2 brackets right now. We have Kennedy Maciel on the left side of the bracket that Isaac Doderlin's on the right side for. So I think the winner of that takes on Fabricio Andre in the second bracket.
Yeah.
And then it's Fabricio Andre versus either Kennedy or Isaac Doderlin.
Yeah.
I kind of think that Kennedy takes that.
Yeah.
Kennedy just won trials. Kennedy's been looking like a monster with his wrestling. And we've seen like a resurgence from Kennedy Maciel.
Kennedy's also been training with
Mikey. Oh, yeah, Mikey Musumeci is at his gym now.
Because Mikey moved. Well, I don't think he's there because I think he still lives in Singapore.
Okay.
I think he's just...
Mikey Musumeci is now under Cobrinha for his third stripe or something like that.
Yeah, he does some wild traveling.
Yeah.
Dude travels all the time.
But again, you get a couple days with Mikey, you level up. Like that, those two, I would love to see those training sessions between Kennedy and Mikey Musumeci.
Yeah.
So I think that Kennedy, unfortunately, I love Isaac, one of my favorite American guys. I think that Kennedy potentially moves on. It is in the gi, and Kennedy is a little stronger no gi. And Doderlin is a bit stronger in the gi than no gi. But I think that Kennedy has just looked a level up from recently, and that's, I think that Kennedy's going to take that. I do think that Fabricio Andre is a really bad matchup for Kennedy. I think Kennedy will try to slow him down a bit, and potentially we're going to get...
and in the gi, that's a lot easier to do than, a no-gi game where you can't really hold on to him. Yeah,
who do you think takes that, Kennedy or Fabricio? I kind of think Fabricio will take that because I think Kennedy has a tendency to get a little tired late in the matches in a way that Fabricio does not. Kennedy has an extra round, too.
Yeah, Fabricio gets in a lot easier.
Yeah.
Not easier, but he has one less match.
So he has a bye into a round that Kennedy has a match in. Again, which for brackets like this, it's not like a 16. It's not like it's not 8 matches. Like these guys can easily go. Fabricio has 1, 2, 3, 4 matches for the finals. Kennedy will have 5 matches for the finals. Kennedy is against João Pedro Mendes, who's AOJ, but is the 26th seed in the bracket.
Yeah.
Fabricio is the 2nd seed. Kennedy is the 5th seed. I think this really comes down to probably Kennedy versus Fabricio.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I go Fabricio just because I think that he will be able to kind of slow Kennedy down, and he will be willing to make enough action happen in some spaces where Kennedy wants to slow the match down and force the action, because Kennedy tends to get ahead on guys and then slow it down, almost like Jonathan Alves does a little bit. And I think that he will struggle to do that with Fabricio Andre, because Fabricio Andre will just not allow that to happen.
Yeah. And we've seen him kind of unstoppable in all of his...
in the absolutes and stuff like that. So I think that my head kind of says Kennedy because he has looked so good recently, but my heart says Fabricio because I like the style matchup between the two and the pacing. I'm trying to think the last time we saw Kennedy got tired.
Weren't they both in trials? South American trials? Or I know Kennedy was. Was Fabricio, Kennedy or am I confusing him with the other name that I always...
Ruan Alvarenga, no.
I think they both won. I think they both won trials.
Because Fabricio did the second trials. Kennedy won the first trials.
And I think Fabricio
and they both beat Caina.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both beat...
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But they didn't meet...
No, because they were in different trials.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. Kennedy won the first South American trials, and the following week, Fabricio won the second South American trials, with crazy, flying triangles and submitted everyone.
Yeah, no, only because I remember the video.
Not Kaina.
Not Kaina.
The other guy.
And I can't think what his name is.
I can blank on his name.
But
now.
Fabricio was spinning around on his head after matches.
Yeah.
He won one match. He was showboating.
He was a spectacle, and I love to see it. ADCC is like, hey man, you just submitted a grown man in a world qualifier.
If you want to spin on your head, go spin on your head.
You get a second. ADCC's like, I'm not gonna DQ for you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. So I think I'm going for Fabricio Andre. I love Fabricio Andre. I love his style.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Fabricio.
I'm going for Fabricio here. I'm making a heart pick. Moving on to the lightweight division, we have a division of 35 people. Beginning, the top contenders here are Pablo Lavasali in your first spot, Elijah Dorsey, your U.S. Trials winner in 77 kilos in your second spot, Nathan Chung, who we just saw against, was it Daupra? Or was it?
No, it was Daupra.
It was Daupra.
It was Daupra.
And then we have Jackson the Guy in the top 4 slots. Some other great names in here as well. But again, this is a division of 35 people in the lightweight. Yeah, Johnny Tama's in here. Renan Mutliab is in here.
Leandro Lowe is here.
Daniel Slathers Campo is in here. Michael Remington, Michael Lira Jr. is in here.
Leandro Lowe's here, so he's going to do both this weekend.
Leandro.
Go up one. Right? No, that's another.
No, different Leandro.
Okay, I was like, dude, is Leandro going to do both? Because that's freaking awesome.
So this is a crazy big division. Yeah. This is very hard for me to pick. I really like Jackson the Guy's game.
Go up again. I want to see.
Yeah, it's a giant bracket. We have first round Pablo Lavaseli versus Michael Lira Jr. We have, let's see, any other first round matchups that are probably really interesting and crazy. 4 brackets. Makes it really hard to see and figure out where guys are. You can lead individual guys through. Elijah Dorsey has a bye up into the semifinals of bracket 1.
But Nathan Chung does too.
Yeah, Nathan Chung does as well in bracket 2 of 4.
I mean, a lot of them have a bye.
Yeah.
There's a lot of byes, but
I'm going Jackson the Guy. He has a bye. He's going to take on the winner of Renan Mutliab versus Elif de Moraes.
That's a long-ass name.
Yeah, they have very long names.
The one name, number 34. Man, that's a long name.
Guillermo Guiares Borges Olimpia de Rocha from ZR Team is gonna fight Jackson the Guy, or it's gonna be Guillermo Rodriguez Higuchi.
It's Guillermo versus Guillermo.
Oh, that'll be great for the way that Flow has their scoring overlays. That's going to look great.
Yeah.
I think Jackson the Guy moves through his bracket as the number 1 seed. The next highest seed is on the opposite side.
I don't know. I think highly of Pablo Lavaseli.
I like Pablo Lavaseli.
I think he's going to make it through his bracket.
But he takes on Levi Jones. Sorry, he kicks on Michael Lira Jr. in the first bracket. Jackson the Guy's in bracket 3.
Yeah.
So those guys meet at the earliest, I think, at... Is it? I hate how they have it really. It's really difficult to figure it out.
You have to figure out what mat it is and all that shit. But anyway,
what's your gut pick, Miranda?
It'll be
your gut pick for lightweight.
Pablo Lavaseli.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pablo Lavaseli.
Okay.
Just to be a weirdo.
I'm going Jackson the Guy, but Lavaseli wouldn't surprise me to have him punch the whole thing. But again, in a bracket of 35 people, it can always be any of those top 10 guys. Moving on to the middleweight division, we have Mika Galvao and Andy Murasaki. I mean, there's 14 other guys there. But I think this is going to be a battle of Mika Galvao and Andy Murasaki. And we saw that at the Europeans. Yeah. And we saw early Andy Murasaki get up, I think, 2 points or 4 points on Mika Galvao. And then Mika Galvao took offense to that and decided, hey, man, I've submitted everyone on the weekend. This is no different. And then armbars Andy Murasaki.
Yeah.
I think Andy Murasaki in that performance absolutely showed that he can score and that he can get up on points versus Mika Galvao. But Mika Galvao also showed that it don't matter.
But we also know that Mika Galvao has to do with USADA has to deal with USADA.
They're USADA testing everyone.
They're USADA testing this weekend.
I hope that everyone goes off cycle because I don't like guys. I don't like guys popping that we don't see them in IBJJF. It's like they gotta get their cycles right, which is fine. Again, we at Grappling Rewind, we are enthusiast press.
Yeah.
Like what you guys do as the athletes, decide, and that is a decision that you need to make.
We want you to take care of your body.
Yeah, I want to see the best
whatever
performances
that means,
possible.
you know, do your thing.
I want to see the most flying triangles possible, and whatever you got to do as the athlete to get there, I fully endorse.
Flying triangles are crazy.
They're crazy, awesome to watch. So I think this is Mika Galvão as the number 1 slot.
Yeah.
Andy Murasaki on the opposite side of the bracket. It's a relatively small bracket with only 16 because everyone saw those two guys and went, I'll go up and wait.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's a pretty easy pick. There's no other, there's no other giant names in there. We have Austin Ordinary in here as well. He'll probably take on Tommy Langacker in the second round. But again, Andy Murasaki, not Tommy Langacker. I don't know what I was doing there. But I think Mika Galvão has figured this out. I think Andy Murasaki will approach it a little differently, but I think the overwhelming physical ability, not even like technical ability, just Mika Galvão can physically overpower almost everyone I have seen him face that is not significantly bigger than him, and nothing leads me to believe that will not be the case in a gi matchup. Because we just saw him at Europeans do that to everyone in his division. I think this is no different. Love to be wrong because it's always exciting. Yeah. But I think this is no different. Any other thoughts on middleweight?
Nope.
Moving on to the medium heavyweight division, a division of 21. We have Manuel Hibamar in that top slot. We also have Francisco Lo in that second slot.
Yeah, so he's doing 2 matches. He's going to do Polaris and Pans.
Francisco Lo's not in Polaris.
Oh, he's not in Polaris. He's in 1. Okay.
He's in 1 FC.
I got excited for a second.
You kept saying that, and I was like,
he's going to do both.
Miranda, he's going against Cade Bertolo in about a month.
I know.
You're like, it's Polaris. Like, it's not.
No,
I would love to see him in that welterweight.
I know. It's not.
I don't think he's making welterweight.
No,
though.
He's not making welterweight. You have Sergio Tullio.
You also have Anderson Ferreira in here as your 12th seed. You have Jiu Jitsu, Rafael Dos Anjos in here as well. Well, because there's RDA in the UFC. Yeah. And there's Jiu Jitsu RDA.
Look at number 12. You have Anderson.
That's what I just said.
Oh.
I just said you have Anderson Ferreira.
You said it fast. You didn't.
I'm excited. You have Alex Muniz also in this division. I really think this will come down to probably Francisco Lo or Anderson, weirdly enough, or Manuel Hibamar. I think those 3 guys are the biggest guys in the mix. It's odd that Anderson Ferreira is ranked number 12th. I think it's probably just based on the points that he has. Yeah. We only have 1 swap, and that's position 19 and 20 in this bracket. This bracket is, I'm not going to say unremarkable. We do have Anderson Ferreira versus Manuel Hibamar potentially going as the second match of bracket 2 as your quarterfinals match, essentially. I kind of think the person that gets through that will take on Francisco Lo because Francisco Lo is ranked number 2 in the second bracket. So I think it's either going to be Anderson Ferreira or Manuel Hibamar versus Francisco Lo.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be Francisco Lo versus Sergio Tullio on the bottom line.
I think that's correct. I think Lo gets through Sergio as well.
Yeah,
again, Sergio is super crafty and has gotten better and better recently. But I think, again, in my head, every Francisco Lo match is the jumping triangle flying armbar over Oliver Taza.
Yeah.
And I just know that it's a thing he can do.
Yeah.
And, man, it is really tough to think about that on the receiving end on the other side when that is an option for a thing that he has.
Yeah.
Things that he can do.
So, and you think Francisco Lo is then going to beat either Anderson or Manuel Hibamar?
Kind of, yeah. Even though I like Anderson and Manuel Hibamar, I think, yeah. My dark horse pick is Anderson because, again, we've watched his game a bunch. He's looked really good. He's looked good at AJP and World Pro. But I really think that Francisco Lo, as long as he doesn't get in a punching match, like we've seen him get DQ'd before,
he gets a little heated.
Man gets heated. I think that's where it's going to go. So that's medium heavyweight. Moving on to the heavyweight division, we have Felipe Andrew in your number 1 spot, Adam Wardzinski in your number 2 spot. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. Do you think that Wardzinski has figured out the matchup between Felipe Andrew? Because historically, Felipe Andrew beat him. And then last Pans was the match of the year. We saw Adam Wardzinski down 11 points with 90 seconds left versus Felipe Andrew.
But then we saw Adam beat Felipe Andrew.
Again.
Euros.
Yeah, we've seen it 2 times now. Do we think he's cracked the formula? And I kind of want to go,
I think
yes.
I
think Adam Wardzinski, it's shown consistency. He beat him in the same way both matches now, points, and has figured it out. I really think that Adam Wojcinski takes this Pan Championships over Felipe Andrew. I think they're in the finals again.
Yeah.
Again, they're both buyed into your quarterfinals.
Yeah.
They've shown that they are, that they end up in the finals all the time against each other. I think we see it again. I think Wojcinski takes it.
Yeah.
Go back and watch their last 2 matches. I think that's what Wojcinski does. He figures out the butterfly guard. He gets him over. He gets Felipe Andrew to overcommit, turns him over, gets to mount, scores the points, potentially takes the back, and that's the match.
Yeah.
I don't think he's able to sub Felipe Andrew, but I think that he's figured out the tells for how Felipe Andrew wants to play. And Felipe Andrew is a very seasoned, older, experienced competitor that's been doing this not older, but has had a consistent game for a couple of years now, and so has Wojcinski. And so if Wojcinski has made the changes, and that's something we haven't seen a ton from Wojcinski and figured it out, nothing leads me to believe that will go the other way.
And it looks like we're going to have Felipe Andrew and probably possibly Lucas Lira.
Oh, that'll be fun as well.
As a semi, which is kind of fun.
Sweet.
So
that's a division of 14, so a smaller.
Yeah, it's one big bracket, but that match as a semi would be fun.
Yeah. So moving on to the last division we're going to preview, 2 more divisions. We have the men's super heavyweight, a division of 11. We got Eric Muniz in this division. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah.
Anderson Muniz as well in this division. And as far as big names, those are the only big names that we really have. Eric Muniz is your 2021, 2022, 2023 world champion. He has 1,027 Grand Slam points and overall has 867 overall points.
Yeah.
The numbers alone to make an Emil pick, shout out to Emil, missed that guy, lead towards this being Eric Muniz by landslide. I want to have more technical information and analysis on this, but go back and watch Eric Muniz win matches. This is what he's going to do here. He
kind of tools everyone.
He's going to extend you. He's going to get you over. He's going to get on top. Yeah. He's either going to submit you. He may come back into the half guard and pass and score again. We saw him do that in the finals match of the last major at Euros. But he will rack points up on you with a big outside sweep, a turnover sweep, and then he will just pass your guard and mount you, and then he will let you get back on top, and then he will do the sequence again.
Yep.
So I think that is the thing we're going to see him do. Moving on to the ultra heavyweight division, a division of 11, we have Gutenberg Pereira here in your number 1 spot, now representing AOJ. He is the far leader in points with almost 500 overall points. Second place here is Marcus Vinicius Ribeiro from Alliance, who has 232 points. Again, that is just a reference of really how much you're competing and winning. But Gutenberg Pereira, I've been hot on him for years. Yeah. I think that move to AOJ, he will be the first ultra heavy guy that they put on a world, a world champion, make a world champion. I think this is going to be when Gutenberg takes the whole thing.
I think so too.
This isn't world championships, but I think that they are leading him into a world championship camp. And this will be a primer for what we're going to see at the World Championships. We have Yatan Bueno as well in your number 3 slot. We will see potentially Gutenberg Pereira versus either him or Marcus Ribeiro in the finals, most likely. But I don't really see anyone taking it to Gutenberg here,
not at all.
And being able to beat him. So moving on to anything else on the men's divisions.
Nope.
We do not have anything right now for the open weight. Those don't get decided for people until people get on site and start registering.
I think Friday's the last day to register for those.
So we'll know that then, but that's what we got for brackets. Moving on to the rooster weight division, we have a division of 12. And for the women, that's
pretty big.
That's pretty big.
We have Anna Carolina.
Where's Anna Carolina?
No, 12.
Number 12. Different Anna Carolina.
Different Anna
Not
Carolina.
Vieira.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anna Carolina.
De Andrade Lima.
Did she change her name?
Is that the Anna Carolina that won Brazilian trials? Is it that area?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because that one has a name that's very similar too.
I'm so confused.
Okay, it's how about you explain why we're confused while I look up who it is?
Because IBJJF, when they list their names out, they don't do a good job giving you the whole name. They show it in the brackets, but they don't show it if you actually look at the rankings, which is usually what we use for the previews on this show. They don't give you the whole name. You have to mouse over it, and then it gets kind of half cut off. It's formatted really poorly, and the form is not dynamic, so you can't stretch the columns to make them bigger to show you the whole name. And so it's again
and also you get everybody's like
full name. You don't get Pato.
You get their what's it called name?
Their full Brazilian name. With their multiple second last names and second names and third names.
Sometimes we don't know these full names.
Yeah. So again, I would love, because IBJJF makes you register and makes you pay for the database, which is what they always say the registration fee every year is for. I would love to get a little picture of the athlete they have to submit that's on their card.
Not the Anna Carolina, I thought.
Okay, different one. I would love them to show the little picture and show the name and show a nickname and have a stats bio, because that's what they always say that you're paying for to register. This one's really hard to pick. I'm less familiar with a lot of the competitors in this bracket.
Me too.
This will be fun. We have Laviana, or we have Ffion from Checkmat. Laviana. Yeah. She is my pick for this. We have a lot of AOJ and Atos in this. I think most of this bracket is
AOJ or
Atos. Half of this bracket, more than half of this bracket, is AOJ and Atos.
Yeah, but they're different forms of
Atos Jiu Jitsu International, Atos Jiu Jitsu USA, Atos Jiu Jitsu.
Because you can only have 2 people from each gym in your bracket.
So you got to register as different names. So again, this is going to be a closeout fest, I think. Here and there. Moving on to light featherweight division.
Oh, we have Brenda in here.
Brenda Larissa?
Sorry. No, Brenda that I've been training with my entire life.
Oh, we also have Brenda Larissa.
Sorry.
Brenda Werner's in here as well.
That's why I was like, hey.
We have Brenda Larissa here and Brenda Werner in here from Forms Jiu-Jitsu, local to us, and from Alliance. Maisa Bastos. Maisa Bastos is number 1. Maisa Bastos takes the whole thing.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Former world champion in 2023, Maisa Bastos, which is weird. They don't have her listed as last world title, which is odd, but I think it's probably because she is not in this division as the last world title.
Yeah.
She's a Roosterweight champion.
True.
That's the way they list it. They only list it on the ranking stage if your last world title is in the division that you are previewed for.
Yeah.
So it's a weirdness. You have to read the form.
So it's probably going to be Miss Bastos and Brenda Larissa.
Yeah, I think that is correct. And we've seen that match before. I think we've seen Brenda Larissa take that, but I do think that Maisa Bastos takes that, especially being at AOJ and AOJ, getting together all those high level competitors and making them, and the recent recruiting efforts that they have made. It would be really interesting. On the featherweight division for the ladies, we have Bianca, where is she? Barbosa as the number 1 ranked. She has the world champion in 2022, 2023. We have Margaret Cicerelli in this division as well, who just won the Asian trials.
Oh, and she's in feather.
Mm-hmm.
She was in light before.
Yeah, moving down to feather.
That's why she's number 2. I bet, because her point, she had.
Your points don't carry.
Yeah, she'd been competing at lightweight for a minute.
So that'll be really fun. I think again we're gonna get a matchup. We also have Elizabeth Pendle in this as well. I think your number 1 and 2, Bianca Barbosa and Margaret Cicerelli, are going to be in your finals here. Yeah. They are on opposite sides of the bracket. Margaret Cicerelli is 2 and Bianca's number 1. I think that's a really interesting dynamic matchup in the gi. But I kind of want to give the edge to Cicerelli, especially for making the weight class change. I was really impressed with her at trials, and that's the most recent thing I've seen her in. Again, your 2-time world champion is also here. Your defending world champion is here.
I go with 2-time world champion only because
Bianca Barbosa?
Because if you think about it, Margot is also cutting weight to make whatever this is.
Oh, that's a good point.
Meaning that she's either already that size, right? And she's already walking, because she has to walk at it, because you're going to walk in and compete the next minute. That's my only fear. My only fear is that Margot,
the weight cut's going to be a lot,
and that she's not. I mean, I'm sure at AOJ they have people that are smaller that she has to deal with, like Maisa Bastos. But it's a different division. People move differently in different divisions, and I think, that's the only reason I'm going to go Bianca.
I'm making a Miranda pick here,
because she's a world champion and has been the Pan champion. Yeah.
Moving on to the lightweight division of 10 for the women. We have in that number 1 spot, we have Jaina Maya in that number 1 spot. In our number 2 spot, we have Sabrina Atayaj
we also have Emily Fernandez. On the other side of the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm. On the other side of Jaina.
Yeah. And I think Emily Fernandez.
You think she takes the whole thing?
I
mean, this is a pretty close division for points overall, but again, with these divisions that I'm less familiar with the competitors, and I can't offhand remember their game. That unfortunately for a lot of the gi competitors, we just have ended up covering more no-gi over the years, and so it's been hard to keep, the about 350 names we keep in our head. It's been hard to keep as many of the gi competitors consistently.
I'm gonna go Emily Fernandez.
Okay,
why not?
Good. I think it's a good pick.
She's been kind of going up and taking on some higher level competition. So I think
I think that's a good pick. Moving on to the middleweight division for the women, we have a division of 16. We have Thalima Ferreira Silva in here. We have Vanessa Griffith in here as well.
Our number 1 is Thalita
Silva.
Yeah.
Thalita Silva is number 1. Doesn't have a former world title, but we would not be surprised.
She is she's a lot to deal with.
Very good.
She's very good, and she's very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to go with.
Yeah. I think Thalita takes this. Vanessa Griffith is on the other side of that bracket as your number 3 seed. She does have to get through Thamera Silva in order to make it to Thalita, but I really think
Larissa Martins. I want to say Larissa Martins is 15. She's over here. But we've seen her do a bunch of stuff recently.
She's Dream Art.
Yeah.
Yeah, the right side of the bracket here is very, very strong competition. Sometimes you get that where the points don't exactly line up for the strength of competition, especially if people are competing outside of the IBJJF realm. And so you have I think this bracket probably skews very heavy on the middleweight side to the right-hand side of the bracket. So I think we could get some toss-up matches there. But seeing Vanessa Griffith in the finals would not surprise me. But she does have to get to Thamara. And seeing Thalita Lima kind of move through her side of the bracket is what I expect.
Yeah.
I expect Thalita to take the whole thing, but there have been a bigger upsets. Larissa coming out of the Dream Art team is a staunch competitor. Around in the middle, the medium heavyweight division, a division of 6. We have Arielle Laverne, who we saw at trials. Looking phenomenal.
And at
Euros. We have Leticia Cardosa versus Maya Carolina.
And you have Elizabeth Mitrovic.
Yeah, Elizabeth Mitrovic's on the other side of that bracket. She takes on Fernanda Cristo in her first round matchup. You also have Ingrid Alves on Dream Art as their second match. Yeah. This is a super hard division to call. The easy pick is Aurelie Laverne.
Yeah.
We also just saw her at ADCC looking really good, but Ingrid Alves is amazing from Dream Art as well. I have no idea who to pick here. I think it's a toss-up between your 1 and 2, but
then Mitrovic isn't very easy to get through.
No, either. Mitrovic's long.
Yeah.
I remember covering Elizabeth back on Fight to Win years and years ago.
Yeah.
And Mitrovic's been a staunch competitor for a very long time. We just have recently saw her really level up her game, and I think she won or placed recently at a major, and I forget which one it was, but she's been just consistently making improvements over the last, since watching her at brown belt.
Laverne has kind of killed everyone.
Yeah, that's probably
when I watched her,
she dominant.
She was very dominant. And
I didn't know she was at medium heavy either. I didn't know she was that big.
I didn't either, but I could be wrong. Weights are really weird. I never know exactly what's going on with some of this stuff. But
Leticia Cardoso is in here as well. She has the most points of anyone in the division, but she has the fewest Grand Slam points, and they rank these by Grand Slam points for seeding because it's a Grand Slam event.
Yeah.
Makes sense. This is a toss-up at medium heavyweight. I'm gonna go Arielle because again I was really happy with her trials performance. I think she carries that through, but wouldn't surprise me either way. Moving on to the heavyweight division, we have a division of 5. We have on our number 1 spot Larissa Diaz Almeida, and we have Isildur Cristina, who is the person I am most familiar with in this division. We also have Amanda Magda in this division as well. I am really familiar with. Larissa's the world champion in 2022, a couple years ago. I'm more familiar with Isildur than I am with Larissa. We've broken down Larissa's match of the match. I think Isildur and Larissa were in the world finals against each other a couple years ago, or in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
I think is what that was. So I'm going to go Larissa because I think she has beat Isildur before. And also that is your returning champion. For toss-ups, you guys know I pick matches.
Yeah.
I go with the champ usually most of the time. You go with the dark horse, but
I go with the dark horse, but I'll go with
the
Larissa
champ here.
this time too.
Moving on to the super heavyweight division.
IBJJF is a little bit different. You can't go full dark horse.
Especially in the gi.
Yeah, it's hard to go full dark horse.
In no gi, you can go dark horse and gi. We have Gabriela Pisana in this division, the 2021, 2022, 2023 champion. She has 2,487 Grand Slam points. She was the Grappler of the Year, female Grappler of the Year.
Yep.
That's who's going to win.
And let's just remember, she also collar dragged Gabby Garcia to her face.
Yeah. Amy
and made her retire the gi.
Gabriela Pisana. That's who I'm picking. That's who you should
too.
pick. Second closest place is Mariana Moreno with 128 Grand Slam points. Montero.
Yeah.
And then she has overall 2,839 overall points as Pisana. And the second place is Montero with 508.
Yeah.
Look at any of the major we showed.
Pisani is kind of hard to beat.
Pisana's so hard to beat. That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's like no one has shown us that they can consistently even deal with her guard or get past. Amy Campo couldn't do it.
Yeah.
If Amy Campo can't do it, I'm not going to bet against Yana Soros hasn't been able to do it. Like, it's a super tough hill to climb. And that does it for the IBJJF Pans preview. Should be some really, really fun matches. The gi has been getting spicy recently.
Yeah, and I'm sure that in the Masters divisions, there's going to be like our
Polo Meows
and
Lucas Panera and like the other guy. Josh Hinger's going to be there, and Lovato might show up again.
Josh Hinger's going to be there beating up all the Master threes, and we're going to have some like fun other matchups over the weekend. So
yeah, it's always a fun event. So Pan should be fun. Miranda, you got anything else going on this week?
Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't really thought that far ahead yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be here. I was going to be on business travel, but I got everything done, so I'm exhausted from doing everything in the field, but I'm back now. Should be fun. Planning for the solar eclipse in a couple weeks here. Getting some other stuff in order for that, but really just happy to be back in town. Zach and I are doing commentary this next weekend at Copa, Virginia. Should be a lot of fun in Annandale. If you want to hear us watch some matches, you can go find those matches on the YouTube page. You want to hear Zach and I commentate. Other than that, I'm just happy to be home, happy to be doing the show, happy we got Polaris next week. I am amped to break down Polaris with you, and that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's everything we got right now.
As always in the show, I'm your host, Mange, and my co-host,
Miranda.
And we are the Grappling Reruns, saying that what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.